Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Friday, May 12th, 2023, and tonight I will only be reviewing Friday Night SmackDown because Rampage will be on tomorrow. Alright, before I get into this full show review, I just want to talk about that Roman Reigns promo. Because a lot of stuff was said in that promo that I really think we should talk about first. So he came out with the entire Bloodline and Paul Heyman. And in typical Roman Reigns fashion, he asked Knoxville, Tennessee to acknowledge him. He starts talking about how that reaction there must be something that is respected. He says there's a lot of talk about royal families and families of importance in the wrestling business. But let's be honest here. There's only one. And talks about, of course, that family is a bloodline. He talks about how every man in that ring, himself, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, main evented both nights of WrestleMania. And something interesting is if you paid attention, as Roman Reigns is talking, Jimmy Uso in the back is all laughing and he's happy. And Roman Reigns starts talking about who stepped up this time. And Reigns says that Solo Sikoa did. He talks about how there was some concern when they got Solo because he was in there with the best of all time. But he says that Solo swam like a shark, and if there's ever a problem, he eliminates them. Roman then proceeds to say that Sami and Kevin Owens aren't the problem and tells Solo not to worry about them. He says that there is a problem, and the actual problem are his brothers, the Usos. Then Roman approaches the Usos, and he says what they think was going to happen. They lost at WrestleMania. They lost a rematch, the one they dedicated to him. And he questions why the Usos are dedicating a tag team victory to him when they have tag teams in their family. He goes on to say that, he's the greatest singles competitor of all time, but they have some great tag teams. He says that the Usos embarrassed him and misrepresented the bloodline, and he orders the Usos to apologize. Roman Reigns says that he doesn't want to see anything come out of their mouth unless it's, I'm sorry, or I apologize, my tribal chief. And again, throughout all of this, Jimmy Uso is just laughing, and Roman doesn't like that. He does not like the fact that Jimmy continues to laugh. He even asks Jimmy if he thinks Roman is a clown or if he thinks he's funny or that he's here to pop him. So he asks Jimmy why he's laughing. Then Roman Reigns proceeds to shove Jimmy and ask him if he's going to do something. Now, Jey, obviously wanting to defend his brother, intervenes and apologizes and asks for one more chance to bring the titles to the Bloodline. Roman Reigns says that the titles will come back to the Bloodline and asks Paul Heyman to fill everybody in. He's basically talking about how they pulled a lot of strings and that at Night of Champions, it will be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa for the Undisputed Dirty Tag Team Championships. Roman then goes on to say that him and Solo Sikoa will bring the titles home and they dedicate a victory to the greatest tag team of all time, Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans. Personally, I have to say, I thought this was a really good promo. I really liked this promo, and we are finally advancing this storyline. I have to say the biggest shocker in all of this is that we're getting Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at Night of Champions. Considering the real life implications, I was surprised that I kind of told myself, no, what if the match happens beforehand? I wonder how all of this is going to play out. I honestly think the Usos might potentially cost Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa those tag titles. And they may not do it on purpose. They might go out there trying to help Solo Sikoa and Roman win these tag titles, but they end up accidentally costing them the tag titles. But that's just how I think it's gonna go down. But what do you guys think of this promo? What do you guys think of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa being the ones to challenge for those tag titles? Wow, that was crazy. Seriously. Because I don't think anybody was expecting. We all know why Sami Zayn doesn't go to Saudi Arabia. So I was pretty shocked. Now imagine if Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa actually do win the tag titles at Night of Champions. Just imagine that. I think Twitter will have a meltdown if that happens. But I don't think it's going to. I honestly think the Usos are going to inadvertently cost Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa the tag titles here. Alrighty, so let's start this show review. So SmackDown kicked off with the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. It was Edge versus Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles. Holy smokes, this match was amazing. This was the match I was looking forward to the most out of any of the tournament matches. AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio go after Edge. Rey Mysterio does a scoop slam to Edge. AJ Styles sent Edge into Rey Mysterio. He does a sliding forearm to Edge. You got AJ Styles doing a backbreaker to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio doing a hurricanrana to both Edge and AJ Styles. We got Edge doing a fall away slam to Rey Mysterio. So I actually really like this next part where like Edge attempted to do a spear, but Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles both stopped him. So this other next part, I also like this next spot where like Edge is setting up Rey Mysterio for DDT on the outside. But before he can do that, AJ Styles does a baseball slide and he knocks Edge down, which then causes him to DDT Rey Mysterio. That double spear to Rey and AJ Styles off the ring apron was pretty cool. My next favorite spot in this match had to have been when AJ Styles had Rey Mysterio in the calf crusher and then Edge came and put him in the crossface. You got a double hurricanrana to Edge and AJ Styles by Rey Mysterio, double dropkick to Rey by AJ Styles and Edge, and then all three men go down. Edge sent AJ Styles face first into a turnbuckle. You have AJ Styles doing a powerbomb to Rey Mysterio. There's this one spot where like Edge was on the top turnbuckle and AJ Styles was on the middle rope. And then Rey Mysterio just came and he dropped both of them. Rey Mysterio does 2 619s to Edge. I really like how Edge did the educator to Rey Mysterio and then he did the educator to AJ Styles. AJ Styles ends up winning this match after he hits a phenomenal forearm to Edge. So AJ Styles is victorious and he will move on to the semifinals. So overall, I really love this opening contest. Kind of a shame that neither Rey Mysterio nor AJ Styles got an entrance and only Edge did. But I guess, they wanted to save time. But really great way to kick off SmackDown, right? Jumping right into the action. Unlike on Monday Night Raw where you had like an opening segment and it just took forever to get to the main event. To the opening match and to the main event too, actually. You have the second World Heavyweight title tournament match in Sheamus versus Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. I really like the fact that Austin Theory thought he was going to escape the ring and just let Sheamus and Bobby Lashley go at it, but instead they follow him to the outside and they double team Austin Theory here. You get Bobby Lashley doing a swinging neck breaker to Austin Theory. You got a rolling senton to Theory by Sheamus, which was followed up by a clothesline from Bobby Lashley. You got Lashley doing elbows to Sheamus. You got 10 beats to the Baron to Austin Theory by Sheamus. Lashley at one point sent Austin Theory into the ring post. Lashley and Sheamus exchanged blows during this match. Austin Theory did a dropkick to Bobby Lashley. Then he did a chop block to Sheamus, and then he hit a blockbuster to Bobby Lashley. There was this one spot where Austin Theory sent Bobby Lashley into a steel steps, and I think that busted open Bobby Lashley because he was bleeding afterwards. You got Sheamus doing an Irish curse backbreaker to Austin Theory. I really like this next. It was a white noise from the second rope to Austin Theory by Sheamus, and you got Bobby Lashley doing the spear to Sheamus, and just like at Backlash, Austin Theory attempted to steal this victory from Bobby Lashley. If you guys remember at Backlash, Bobby Lashley speared Bronson Reed and match was his, but Austin Theory came and stole the match from him. So afterwards, Bobby Lashley does a one-arm slam to Austin Theory and he follows this up with the Hurt Lock. Sheamus breaks up the Hurt Lock with a Bro Kick and Bobby Lashley ends up being victorious after he pins Austin Theory. So I liked the match, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the fact that it was Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory, and Sheamus. I didn't mind Sheamus and Bobby Lashley, but Austin Theory being in this match, I felt some type of way just because we already saw a rivalry between him and Bobby Lashley, and we really don't need to be rehashing that. Next, we get a Grayson Waller backstage segment where he tells Adam Pearce he wants to interview the winner of AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley next week on his talk show. So I know a little bit about Grayson Waller, not too much. Again, if you watch my reviews and you follow me on Twitter, you know I do not watch NXT, so I'm not too familiar with a lot of these NXT wrestlers that got called up, but I know a little bit. So after this, we get the debut of Cameron Grimes versus Baron Corbin. But before the match starts, Baron Corbin takes it upon himself to cut a little promo where he introduces Cameron Grimes as SmackDown's last pick in the draft. And he understands that Grimes wants to make a name for himself, but after this match, he says he's going to wish that he went back to NXT. So this ends up being a squash match. Like literally, Cameron Grimes hits the cave-in and Cameron Grimes is victorious in his SmackDown debut. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. I mean, good for Cameron Grimes for getting the win, but damn, Baron Corbin getting squashed in under a few seconds by the debuting Cameron Grimes. I mean, that must mean something for Baron Corbin, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they might do something with that. I hope they bring back Broke Baron Corbin. I actually really like that character. He was a lot of fun. I wish it would have lasted a lot longer than it did. But good for Cameron Grimes for getting the victory in his debut. So after this is when we have the Roman Reigns promo, but I talked about at the beginning, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip over it. So afterwards, we get a Damage Control backstage interview, and Bayley compares herself to Roman Reigns, basically. She's saying that both of them are Grand Slam champions and exceptional leaders. And she says, like Roman, sometimes leaders need to take matters into their own hands. And she blames herself for Io Sky losing at Backlash because she thinks she pushed Io too hard. And you can see Io's face, and she just looks totally annoyed. She looks unhappy that Bayley's there. And so Bayley tells Kyla Braxton to tell Roman that SmackDown belongs to Damage Control. That's funny. I wonder if Kyla Braxton actually delivered that message. So we get a quick encounter with the Usos and LWO. Santos Escobar says that don't get mad that their tribal jefe doesn't love them anymore. And so we're going to have a match between the LWO and the Usos next week on SmackDown. I look forward to that. I'm hoping the LWO gets a W, but I doubt it here. Next, we get the women's tag title match. It is Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Damage Control, with Alba Fire and Elsa Dawn watching this match backstage, who are the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. All right, so this match was all right. This match really wasn't about the tag titles. It was more about the story that's going on with Damage Control. It seems like Damage Control is heading for a split, and this added to that as Bayley at one point during this match, towards the end, tells Io Sky to get the titles, and there seems to be some miscommunication between them. And so Damage Control ultimately loses this match. And honestly, like, Damage Control, I've talked about this, they didn't do much. Yeah, they were 2-time women's tag team champions, but Bayley failed to beat Bianca. Bayley should have gotten the women's title off of Bianca and had Damage Control basically run the women's division, but that didn't happen. I just feel like Damage Control's booking did them no favors. So I'd say it would ultimately lead to a lackluster run. They had a great debut, but ultimately booking just did no favors to them. We get the debut of Pretty Deadly in a backstage segment with Brawling Brutes, who are trying to cheer Sheamus up. And so Pretty Deadly shows up, and Sheamus asks which one of them is pretty and which one is deadly. And they feel for Sheamus' loss. So again, I don't watch NXT, so I'm not too familiar with Pretty Deadly here. So if anybody recommends a Cameron Grimes match, Pretty Deadly match, or Grayson Waller match, let me know in the comments section so I can check them out. And next, we're supposed to get Bianca Belair's championship celebration. They're in her hometown of Knoxville, Tennessee. But mind you, just like everything else in wrestling, weddings, celebrations, contract signings never end well in pro wrestling, and this was no exception. Bianca Belair came out, and before she even got the chance to celebrate or say anything, Asuka interrupts, and she spits the mist in Bianca's face, signaling that she's now a heel, and we're probably going to get Bianca Belair versus Asuka at Night of Champions. So honestly, in my opinion, Asuka needs to be Bianca at Night of Champions. She is officially the longest reigning women's champion. Let's take that title off of her. And speaking of that, it's interesting that on SmackDown, Bianca was referred to as simply the women's champion, while on Raw, Rhea Ripley was referred to as the SmackDown women's champion. So we'll see what they do. It doesn't look like they're going to address the women's title situation, which sucks because like you could easily solve it by just renaming the titles and redesigning them. That's it. Problem solved. But you know what would have made things a lot easier? Don't draft them. Yeah, all you had to do was just keep Bianca Belair on Raw and keep Rhea Ripley on SmackDown. That's all you had to do. But no, they didn't do that now, did they? And now we have this mess of a situation with the women's titles. So our main event ends up being the World Heavyweight Title Tournament Semifinals. It is AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley. Winner faces Seth frickin' Rollins at Night of Champions in the finals to determine the new World Heavyweight Champion. All right, so we got Lashley doing the knees to the midsection of AJ Styles. AJ Styles going spine first into the ring apron. Calf crusher to Bobby Lashley. A DDT to Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley put AJ Styles in a hurt lock, but he managed to escape. Bobby Lashley did a power slam to AJ Styles. Lashley went shoulder first into the ring post. AJ Styles hit the phenomenal forearm to Bobby Lashley, and he is victorious. So it is official at Night of Champions. It's going to be AJ Styles versus Seth freaking Rollins. Winner will become World Heavyweight Champion on Raw. And so at the end, SmackDown ends with the OC coming out and celebrating with AJ Styles. So I have to say, overall, I actually really liked tonight's SmackDown. I thought it was a good show. The women's match was okay. But again, that was more about the damage control than it was about those tag titles. I did definitely like SmackDown way better than I did Raw. The pacing of SmackDown was a lot better than on Monday Night Raw. Wasn't too bad. Better than Raw, that's for sure. And so with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. And for the continuous support, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys Monday after Raw. Bye.